Something I thought about or forgot about while I was talking about Gourmet reins and how they work. I was talking about these two buttons and how they work and what their use is. But another thing, another little useful part of them is if you have a horse that tends to kind of travel just slightly off balance, which you could say, well, by the time you've got him in the two rein, he ought not to, but they do sometimes. And then a lot of times, at least with me, I'm taking a horse that's mature, 5, 6, 7-year-old horse that has not been ridden in an ideal way. And so I kind of fast forward them into the two rein, and it works really well. And so a horse that kind of tracks just a little off, kind of pack their head just a little bit off, or they're not real straight when they move, you can take and pull just a little bit out of one side like that, put a little bubble in it, which makes this left rein just a tick shorter. That would be if a horse kind of packed his head to the right a little bit. That's just a pet peeve of mine, a horse that packs his head one side or the other and not straight. But a lot of them do it. But you can adjust that rein just a tick, the same way you would with a split rein, and then it shortens that rein, kind of evens everything out. And obviously you can do it on either side. If he packs his head a little bit to the right or the left, you can take this right rein and shorten it just a little bit. And if you're like me, whenever you do that, I tend to then jam my thumb through there, and that's a really, really bad idea, because if your horse stumbles and falls with you and you fall off and you're attached to your rein by your thumb, you're gonna lose a thumb, or at least hurt it. So don't do that, but I do. But that's another little thing that these buttons are used for, is kind of straightening your horse out. These little guys right here, most of these bridle reins, when you buy them, they come to you, this one doesn't, but they come to you with the fancy little braided connector and everything, and those are really nice and pretty. And I, first thing off the bat, cut them off, throw them away, because this is better. And this is just a little piece of string, saddle string. Need to spend a day of how to properly take care of your tack, or have somebody teach me. Anyway, this is just a little old piece of saddle string with a loop in it there. And I connect my reins to my chains with that, or my bridle. A lot of these bridles I ride without chains. And you just do a little overhand knot, like so. The reason being, this is kind of like the old spur strap deal. If you get in a wreck, this isn't going to break, and this isn't going to break. So I would rather this broke and save my horse's mouth, or if my leg's tangled up in it or whatever. So I've got that cut where it's not going to break if I just go to pulling hard, which I ought not to, but sometimes you have to. But it'll darn sure break if you're in too big of a wreck. So that's one part of these little guys. But another part is just like I was talking about with a horse's head packing straight. The way I adjust these, well, this is the right hand one. So the right hand one I've got snugged down. This left hand one, I've got just a little bit less, and it's actually a longer piece of saddle string for this purpose, but I've got it just a little farther away, like a chain's length difference. And you see that other one, it's butted right up against it, real tight. This one's got just a little bit of slack in it. The reason for that is because you hold your reins in your left hand. And so no matter how you do things, you're gonna, I've got that backwards because the bridle's upside down in my lap for my left and my right. You hold your reins in your left hand, and so no matter what, your hand's gonna be just a hair closer to the left hand side of their face, which is gonna make that rein just a little bit longer. And so I've got, discontinue everything I said earlier about which side this was on. I've got this one that's just a hair longer on the right hand side to make that rein the same length. as my left rein. And I hope that makes sense. I can't really think of a better way to say it, but I'll say it again anyway. My right hand connector is adjusted 1 chain length longer than my left hand connector because my rein is shorter on my left hand because I hold my reins with my left hand, and so it's slightly closer to his face. That'll probably confuse everybody.
Using the leather to compensate for the incorrectness in my hand.
There you go. I'm using this little piece of leather to compensate for the fact that my hand is, no matter how hard I try, my hand is never going to be directly in the middle right on the horn all the time. It's always going to be off to one side a little bit. So I hope that helps somebody. No safety tip? I thought this was a safety tip in and of itself, so it would break. Let me think of a safety tip. If you go hunting bears, do not take someone with you that can run faster than you.